Please welcome to the stage Databricks Games GTM leader Hunting Buckley.
Welcome to Data and AI Summit Games Industry Forum. Look, I'm Hunting Buckley and I lead strategy globally for games here at Databricks. And I really appreciate y'all taking the time to hear us speak about what's happening in games and data. And then really I'm here to introduce Dennis Ceccarelli, the VP and GM for the sports franchises at 2K Games. He's got a wonderful discussion that he's going to share with us, and I'm excited to hear it. Before we jump into that, I would like to thank our sponsors. You'll be able to find them after this session at the back of the room. And in addition to Dennis, we're going to have Brendan from AWS talk about what AWS for Games is doing with all of you, I'm sure, or at least, 85% of you are on AWS. And then Max is going to share with you a demo that we've built recently and how people are actually making real use of Databricks inside of games. Now, data and AI have profound impacts across the value generation chain for games. Whether it be in taking data to personalize the player experience so that players are engaging more often, are coming back for that DLC, are engaging with whatever microtransaction you might be selling at the time. No, realistically, what we're looking to do is figure out what players care about and showing them the things that they find valuable. Because that's the point of personalization. The point of personalization is to ensure that you aren't inundating them with things that just don't matter to them. The second big category is building better games. And this is taking signals from your player feedback, signals from build pipelines, from your live operations, from all these things to ensure that whatever product it is that you're creating really speaks to those players. And ultimately, you do have a business to run. And it needs to run efficiently, whether that be from a cost perspective, whether it be from a data governance and regulatory compliance perspective. All these things also need to be done, and Databricks is a great place to help you there. Now, the impact that Databricks has on game companies is expressed in the form of a bunch of different use cases. If you've got a moment, I'm going to show this later again, but this QR code, please scan it. It'll send you to a SurveyMonkey survey where we would like to hear from you what use cases you're actually working on, what's resonating, what's not resonating with you. Because here's the thing. We take those signals, we take that feedback, and that is what we build. It doesn't matter what we think you want and what you need. What matters is what you actually need. And the only way that we know that is when you tell us. So please, we want that feedback. Now, all of those use cases are powered through data coming from internal systems, from ISVs, software as a service solutions, and augmented by Databricks, augmented by the pipelines and the models that you create to ultimately turn into insight that you activate back through those different channels. Because insight without action is pointless. And so we're doing everything that we can to help you bring that out into your games, into your solutions, so that you can build better experiences for your players. Now, when done right, good things happen. I want to share a couple stories with you. So, Mojang, small game, Minecraft, powers their recommendations with Databricks. They do a bunch of other things too, but they ingest pretty much everything you could imagine from the player experience to figure out what is the experience that's going to have that player play longer. And even small recommendations, even very basic recommendations can have huge impacts. I was just asked 45 minutes ago, what are people talking about? What are people actually doing? What is the most exciting thing for game companies? And honestly, yes, agentic AI, we'll talk about AI and all those things too. But most game companies are trying to make sure that the recommendations they show are meaningful and engaging to players. A lot of the meat and potatoes is still hard for game companies, and we can help there. Second Dinner, Riot Games, Krafton, all three of those are also very heavy recommendation, personalization focused situations. And they're really trying to align what players want with what they have. Because if I have 600 different options to show you, and I try to show you 600 or have you search for them, you're not going to do it. I need to know the three that you're going to engage with, and only show you those three, at least on the front page. Some people like to scroll. You want to serve them too. Sega is using one of, I think, the most exciting recent features that we released, AI BI Genie. If you haven't seen this, if you don't know what it is, go to our expo floor. We've got demos of it. This is conversational analytics against your own data. So think ChatGPT, but your data sets, governed, protected, accessible to you so that your marketing team can understand what's happening, or your revenue team can see what people are engaging with and ask those questions and not have to send it over the fence to your data analyst teams and wait for a response to come back. Now, if you're making a business critical decision, yes, you are going to have it validated by those teams, okay? Like all Gen AI and LLM-based things, it doesn't work 100% of the time, every time. So if it's business critical, you're gonna validate it. But most of the time it isn't. Most of the time I wanna know something, I need to know it now so I can take action on it. Now, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little about the elephant in the room, generative AI. It doesn't need to be scary. It doesn't even need to be all that exciting. Gen AI is about more than just generating content. There are a wide variety of what I like to call boring AI use cases out there, because it does a great job at helping you to understand unstructured and complex data sets, to turn log information into something that I can read as a human being. It does a great job at helping personalize the player experience by taking those details and then turning them into something new that a player might leverage. And it can be a huge productivity boost for the right applications. Now, with this broader definition, as we think about generative AI and how it fits in games, it's our viewpoint, frankly, that it's pervasive. There is no such thing as a Gen AI use case. The question is, for this use case, how can Gen AI add value? How can an LLM help me to better understand the segmentation of my players? This was a thought experiment that we ultimately built in conjunction with, now at Mojang, Duncan Davis here. We took k-means clustering, and we said, okay, well, great, I got these clusters, but what do they mean? I don't know what they mean. They're just numbers. We put an LLM in front of that, and we asked it to explain those different clusters to us. So a project that might have taken 6 months to do could be done in hours. So it could be more productive, and instead of being one project that I do every couple months, it's something I could do every single day or every single week or as part of a content drop. So instead of trying to identify specific Gen AI use cases, ask yourself, how can Gen AI augment what I'm trying to do today? I want to get a little bit more specific before passing it on to Dennis, because there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. One of the easiest and incredibly impactful places to start, I already mentioned, was conversational analytics. And I gave you already one example of how an LLM can be used on top of unstructured data to extract details that you can then leverage inside of other applications. But another one is player feedback analysis. And this is a demo that we have, again, running in our industry space. And what's interesting is it takes in a bunch of data. This could come from any number of sources, but we picked Steam because they had an API. It was there. It was easy. And we use an LLM to extract out the details that customers are playing or players are talking about to find the unknown unknown. Unlike previous sentiment analysis projects that you might have taken, where you had a list of these are the 50 things I care about and what's the sentiment on each one of them, we took the perspective of I don't know what our players are talking about. And we used an LLM to help pull that and then apply sentiment on top of that. Agentic AI and RAG applications can be quite easy and highly impactful and provide customers and players a better experience when they have an issue with the game and turn a situation that might have been a negative experience. Because how many times have you submitted a ticket and gotten a, hey, thanks, we appreciate your feedback, we'll get back to you someday. And 2-3 weeks might come back and the response isn't helpful either. Well, RAG-based chatbots put in front of your knowledge bases can improve that experience for your players. And finally, we're seeing a lot of devs putting, funny enough, putting those same types of chatbots but in front of internal documentation. So Confluence, I imagine most of you are using Confluence, right? Great use case. Download those docs, put them into Databricks, put a RAG in front of it, and now your developers can follow. And funny enough, what we're seeing is developers are actually adding more feedback and more documentation as a result of those because they see value in it now, because they're actually engaging with it. They see that they can get that. Well, then I should contribute back. I said earlier, and I'm putting up one last time, though Max will put it for us again. The use cases that we work on, the thought leadership that we write, the demos that we build, the code snippets that we do are almost always the result of your feedback. Towards the end of this month, we'll be releasing a blog on single-player game analytics because I was in a meeting with a VP of data at a large transmedia corporation, and they said, but you've been talking about games as a service. That's awesome. What do we do for our single-player games? And we started by looking externally to see if someone had written about it, because it doesn't need to come from us. It's about you and not about us. It didn't exist. So a month later, we have this to share. With that, Dennis, I'd like to invite you to the stage. Again, GM, VP of the sports franchises at 2K Games.
Thanks, Hunting. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. Special thank you to Brian, to Hunting, to Tim, to everybody at Databricks for having me up here. I really appreciate the time. Look, as I think everyone in this room knows, every great video game is born from the incredible passion, the tremendous creativity, and the executional excellence of a truly great studio. But what may be less obvious is that one of the greatest differentiators between a hit and a flop in today's ultra-competitive gaming landscape, especially in the space of sports gaming, isn't necessarily the size of your dev team or the size of your marketing budget, but rather how well you understand and leverage data and AI throughout your entire process. As mentioned, I'm Dennis Ceccarelli. I'm the GM for 2K's Sports Star business unit. I have had the distinct privilege over the last 7 years at 2K to work on some of the most iconic franchises in sports gaming history, from NBA 2K to WWE, Topspin 2K Tennis, and the franchise that I'm here to spotlight for you all today, PGA Tour 2K. I'm a huge sports fan, born and raised a sports fan. Golf is one of my favorite sports. I love to play golf. If you guys have ever heard that saying, you put 10,000 hours into something and you can get really good at it, that's not always true. I put probably 20,000 into golf, but I have a loft problem, lack of fucking talent. So there's only so much performance that I can get out of the golf course. But do you know where I've always been able to bomb big drives and make clutch putts and take home hardware? Golf video games. And that's a big reason why partnering with the incredible folks at HB Studios to deliver what we humbly believe is the greatest golf game ever made in 2K25 has been such a career achievement for me. Truly every part of PGA Tour 2K25, from its incredibly realistic physics and gameplay and its stunning environments and courses to its sticky progression systems and engaging post-launch content, was shaped in some form or fashion by data and AI. From our initial investment thesis on what that game was going to be to our post-launch live service plans that keep our players engaged and retained, we've used data and AI to guide what we build, how we build it, and how we best understand and meet player needs over time. But before we dig into all those details, I want to rewind just a little bit. HB Studios is based in beautiful Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, and HB has been crafting leading golf games since the introduction of the golf club in 2014. 2K and HB officially partnered up in 2019, and since then, we've released PGA Tour 2K21, 2K23, and now 2K25, inarguably the sixth and most ambitious installment yet. And truly, we were humbled back in February when 2K25 launched to the best reviews in franchise history. And players are showing up and sticking around in ways we've never seen before. It's a huge, unequivocal win for the team, there's no doubt. But it's also the product of intentional, data-led choices every step of the way. Because let's be honest, finding success in today's gaming landscape is harder than it's ever been. Development and marketing costs continue to skyrocket. Actually finding and reaching your customers is a huge challenge. And we have to fight the competition, and it is relentless, not just from other premium and free-to-play games on the market, of which there are thousands today, but from every other form of entertainment that is fighting for our players' time and attention. You need to make sure when you're building a game like PGA Tour 2K25 that you deeply understand your audience and that every decision you make is laser-focused, data-backed, and player-first. That's how we built PGA Tour 2K25, and that's what I want to walk you all through today, starting with the foundation of our strategy, player segmentation. As many industries go, winning in gaming starts with knowing who you're building for. Video games are an art form. There's no question about that. But unlike a one-of-one painting, video games have to appeal broadly enough to sell millions of times over, otherwise you don't have a business. If you don't have a business, you won't have a franchise for very long. So one of the things that we talk about a lot at 2K is who's your core audience? Who's that foundational audience that's going to drive your game? And then who's your more audience? As you seek to maximize the reach of your game and bring in as many players as possible, how do you define those two audiences? What drives each of them? How do you meet those audiences' needs in ways that also maximizes engagement, retention, and player lifetime value? Player segmentation is an incredibly complex challenge, and it's one that we tackle at 2K with the help of robust data and powerful AI clustering models. These models take the deep data sets that we've developed across multiple releases in our franchises, and they enable us to identify patterns, spot trends, and surface common behaviors that truly matter to the outcomes that we're after. We then leverage those clusters provided by the AI model. We turn them into distinct player segments, each with their own unique set of characteristics, tendencies, and expectations. Understanding all of that complexity is what allows us to serve each group intentionally. And for PGA Tour 2K25, we leaned heavily on our multi-year player data and AI clustering models, as well as a range of qualitative research to map out our key audience segments. And as a result, we identified several segments that we had to build for in 2K25. Two of those segments include single-player grinders and online competitors. Single-player grinders are a very large segment of players that live for solo progression and character development. They play season after season, living out their tour fantasy and cementing their name as a legend of the game. When we think about what these players need for 2K25, they need authenticity. And every single year, the tour goes to different places, stops at different courses. We have to make sure every time we launch a game that those tournaments and those courses are authentic to real life if we're going to bring those single player grinders forward. And if we didn't listen closely to the full range of these players' needs and make the right upgrades to key modes and features like our My Career mode, we would have introduced real risk in our ability to bring those players forward from 2K23 to 2K25. And frankly, 2K25 couldn't be a success without them. The same goes for our online competitors. While that player segment doesn't match the single-player grinders in size, they're incredibly important to our ecosystem, as I think everybody knows that more online engagement has positive network effects on overall engagement, retention, and social networking. Through AI clustering, we didn't just size each of these segments. We sought to understand them, prioritize them, and build player journeys that match their needs. They actively shaped our product plans, informed our go-to-market strategies, and helped us build creative campaigns that truly resonated with our fans. Okay, so how does all that segmentation work inform what we actually decide to build into the game? Not going to surprise anybody, game development is very expensive, gets more expensive by the day, and it's also, with exceedingly few exceptions, a zero-sum game. Every feature that you decide to include on your roadmap generally means some other feature doesn't make the cut. And if a dollar spent doesn't serve your priority segments, it's not just a dollar wasted. It can actively steer you and your players away from the success that you're after. It's critically important then that every investment decision you make ladders back to the segments you've predicted to be the top drivers of your game's success. Take our swing controls in PGA Tour 2K, for example. In PGA Tour 2K23, players had multiple ways to swing the golf club. We had a classic 3-click mode, boom, 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 where you time button presses to control the swing, as well as a more natural option using the controller's joystick, which we've dubbed the swing stick. Our data in 2K23 showed that the swing stick was by far the preferred method of input for our players. They loved the precision and the authentic feel of physically mimicking a golf swing in real life. So for 2K25, we doubled down and evolved that swing stick system into the next-gen version that we've called Evo Swing. It was a no-brainer investment. It's been loved by the community and among the buzziest features in our launch campaign. But the data also revealed something else. There was a pretty big group of players in both 2K21 and 2K23 who struggled with the swing stick and churned out early. Many of them never to be seen again in PGA Tour 2K. Look, golf is hard in real life and for many of our players in the game too, and we saw that in the data. We decided that it was a problem worth fixing, and we invested in ensuring 2K25 wouldn't just be the best sim golf game ever, but the most accessible too. And that insight led directly to the development of Perfect Swing, a new input system designed to offer consistent, satisfying contact with every single stroke. This allowed players to focus on the strategy of golf. What club do I select? What shot type do I choose? What's the wind doing? What's my lie look like? How do I get the best out of every stroke? And that helped players avoid getting bogged down in the control scheme, and at the same time leveled the field for players of all skill levels and ages. And that's what we want. We want people to play together. Our games are better together. And Perfect Swing enabled the hardcore player and the casual player to have a great time sitting on the same couch or playing with each other from wherever they are across the world. And this virtuous cycle continues post-launch. From course and mode updates to live in-game experimentation, we are always learning, and everything we do is always guided by data. Getting players in the door is one thing, though. Keeping them, that's the real game, pun intended. Some players hit the ground running. They don't need an intervention. They know what they want to do. They come in, they find the fun. It's very sticky. We can see that in the data. Other players, not so much. They need a nudge, right? And we're happy to give them one of those nudges. And the ways that we do that are through both pre-planned journeys, which could be a first-time user experience, or a golden path journey. I'll talk about that in just a second. Sorry, I went the wrong way. Or it could be a reactive journey that we trigger when a player starts showing us signs that they're having confusion or frustration, or that they might churn soon. So consider golden paths. These are custom journeys based on common player actions designed to inform players, guide their engagement, and highlight new reward opportunities. For example, with online competitors, the golden path lights the way to competitive matchmaking, and in 2K25, our new asynchronous ranked tours mode, both of which offer limitless gameplay loops and the ability to climb skill-based competitive ranks. If players veer too far off of these paths, we can deploy tips, info, and rewards to help them out. Or if a player suddenly indicates declining logins or struggling performance, both common churn signals, we can intervene with personalized messages and or reward systems that can bring them back before they drift away. Once we have a game full of players and we have strategies to keep them engaged, how do we ensure that the game feels balanced from moment to moment, from day to day, and season to season? In live service sports games, players earn a range of content, like currency, points, or gear, which they can then use to level up and unlock new players, cosmetics, or any number of other upgrades. A well-balanced game feels rewarding and fair to your players, whether they're playing for free or spending money beyond the purchase of the game itself. An imbalanced game feels bad for your players across virtually every segment, and it can harm both your retention and your bottom line. Managing that balance is an ongoing challenge, one that requires robust, accessible, near real-time data and agile decision-making. This is a great use case for conversational analytics, something that we at 2K have really dived deep into over the course of the past year, enabling us to empower our analysts to spend their time thinking about the business and quickly getting data that can help us make decisions for the business, as opposed to spending some of their time thinking about the business and spending a big chunk of their time thinking about how to write sophisticated SQL queries. Now we're getting the most out of those analysts. And look, we need it. Just hours after 2K25 launched, we saw that players were leveling up materially faster than intended. It was taking a number of hours to get from a level 70 character to a level 99. It's not supposed to be easy to get to 99. That journey is supposed to feel rewarding. It's supposed to come with highs and lows and points of real achievement. When a player is able to race through that in one day, they're left wondering what's next in the game. And oftentimes, those players don't stick around very long. We used live telemetry and conversational analytics to quickly isolate the issues that were driving that accelerated progression, fine-tune our mechanics, and roll out fixes within 24 hours. There was some noise in the community, and we worked with our marketing team to help communicate what we were changing and why. The result? A more balanced game and a better experience for our players. At this point, you might be wondering, but Dennis, how do I put these learned experiences from 2K into practice for my own game and my own business? The first thing that I would tell you is to build a foundation. You need to look at your data, and you need to think about your business and really audit whether you have what you need to get started. Consider the range of questions that you ask and the decisions that you have to make today, like player funnel efficacy. How many players are coming in the top of the funnel? How many of them are getting to an engaged state? What does good look like? How many of them are converting to spend beyond the purchase of the game itself? And what happens to those players' engagement and retention once they do decide to spend more money with you? Data and AI are going to be critical partners in helping you understand this player funnel, see where bottlenecks begin to occur, and devise strategies to free that back up and keep players moving through the funnel into a retained state. Also consider the questions that you might want to ask yourself as your game and your players evolve in the future, like how to measure success for a new business model. Maybe you're introducing virtual currency for the first time, or you're finally going to take that step and introduce seasons and a battle pass. How are you going to measure whether your players are satisfied? How are you going to keep your finger on the pulse over time and understand when things go from a solid state to a less solid state and require you to react? You need to make sure that you build a foundation for data today that enables you to be agile and address those questions down the line. Truly, if you build a foundation that doesn't work today and you're constantly trying to patch it and band-aid it over time, it will break. It will all fall apart on you. So start with the foundation and think about what you need today, what you need in the future, and how you're going to get there. Second, I would encourage you all to think globally, but don't let yourself be satisfied with global-only views. Consider all of the dimensions that you need to understand your product, your players, and your business. Whether those are platform-based, a Steam player often looks very different from an iOS player or from a Sony player. Whether those are geo-based, our players in Singapore behave differently than our players in Brazil and our players in France or Germany. Understanding those geo-driven behaviors and then seeking to understand the why behind it is going to be a very powerful tool in understanding and optimizing your business. Consider segments. Which segments are doing what you expected them to do? When you build player segmentation, like I said, you have a whole range of expectations and predictions on what those players are going to do, how big that size of the segment is going to be. Keep your finger on that. Understand if that's turning out the way that you think and if it's turning out in a different form or fashion. And look, sometimes you stumble into better outcomes than you can expect, but it's important that you're aware. Do you have the right data sets to fully and accurately answer those questions? If not, start building towards that today. Next, make sure that you're proactive with your data and not reactive. Is your gameplay and your player data near real time? We used to be in a state at 2K where we would refresh our data on a 24-hour cycle. And we would have players that would be engaged in a challenge. Maybe they have to do A, B, and C thing to complete the challenge and earn a reward. And a player who completed A and B before that daily cutoff happened, but didn't get to C until 2 minutes after the daily cutoff, wouldn't get their reward for a whole nother 24 hours. That's a bad player experience. Near real-time data solves that. It's also important that you make sure that you have the right dashboards. When you're looking at dashboards on a daily basis, and you've got them built in a way that flows from the broadest to the most granular data that you need to see to run your business, you are going to do a much better job understanding when things are going awry. If you're only turning to the data, by contrast, when you think you have a problem, you do have a problem. Make data a proactive constant in how you monitor, how you understand, and how you optimize your business. And remember, too, that data and AI are not in conflict with creativity and innovation. This is something that we talk about a lot at 2K. We want to let our development studios really embrace the fullness of their creativity and deliver experiences that surprise and delight our fans. And data and AI can stand to serve creative excellence in many ways. So consider how data can support creative thinking and decision-making in your game and business. Finally, insist that your team from the top down are data-led and AI-savvy. Ensure that your team is well-positioned to incorporate data in their daily work and insist that data and AI underpin all the critical decisions that you make for your game and for your business. With AI tools like conversational analytics, you no longer have to be a SQL wizard to be a data-led leader. If you have the right data on a near real-time cadence, actionable insights are always at your fingertips. And finally, take note that as I've talked about data a few times, I've said data-led and not data-driven. Data can only take us so much of the way. And AI, by nature, looks back, not forward. Data is great, but having leaders who understand what the data is saying and have a distinct point of view on how to use it are going to get your biggest ideas and opportunities across the finish line. Winning in sports live service gaming is like winning in sports in real life. It often comes down to the slimmest of margins. PGA Tour 2K25 isn't just a great game. It is a great game, don't get me wrong. Anybody wants a code, let me know. You can see for yourself. But it's a smart game. Because we use data and AI not just as tools, but as creative partners throughout our entire process. And if there's one thing that I hope you all take from this, it's that embracing data and AI isn't just about efficiency, it's about impact. It's how we listen to players, it's how we learn from them, and ultimately how we serve them better. As data and AI tool sets continue to evolve, so does the opportunity to create more player-first, insight-driven games. And if PGA Tour 2K25 is any sign, it's not just possible, it's essential. Thank you all for your time, and as we like to say with PGA Tour 2K, may your next round be your best round. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Thank you. Hey, folks. Good afternoon. Thanks for hanging in with us. Dennis, thanks again. My name is Brendan Noone. I'm with AWS, proud sponsor here today with Databricks. I'd like to thank Tim Hunting and as well as our partner team for making this possible for us. I've been with AWS now for 10 years, and during my tenure, I've really focused on our media and entertainment, games, and sports parts of our business, particularly focused on games for the last year. And it's great to see the convergence that we're seeing. As we just heard from PGA 2K, we have a really strong relationship with the PGA Tour as well, and to be able to see what's happening between games, between sports, between media and entertainment, we really feel like we're on the precipice of not just with esports, but all type of games. Interesting time here in the next couple of years. My focus today is really just going to be on our relationship with Databricks, as well as what I'm seeing in the Gen AI community from an AWS perspective. I will say that I've spent today 6 hours with about 60 people from Databricks, and with AWS. Our partnership is really strong. Our partnership is only growing better as well. I've had the chance to work with Tim for more than a past year, as well as he's leading the games business for them. And it's great to see the connection points that we have and how strong a relationship we have continued to grow. Our customer base for game developers is really strong. It's worldwide, some of the largest. We've been doing this for pretty much the past 7, 8 years, working closely with some of the biggest games in the industry and some of the biggest studios in the industry as well. Along with my responsibility, we also have betting and gaming, which is an area that's growing tremendously for us right now at this time. So what we've been able to do is really help the game developers and also publishers worldwide and build trust with them. We've also spent a lot of time over the last 3 to 4 years of focusing the way that we build our teams. I would say in the last 18 months, we built our MEGS team, which is Media, Entertainment, Game, and Sports, together as a focused vertical. AWS for Games has been a little bit more well established. But at the same time, we know that we are here to help you not just scale your games when they're going live, but how do we help you in the development process early on? And then how do we help you grow when you're trying to get a stronger player engagement, and then also for modernization that you might be looking to do. We've built
And we've aligned our use cases and solution taxonomy along with the game development lifecycle. So build, run, and grow, enabling studios in each of these phases. So really a main focus for us. And when we think about our solutions and how we work backwards from our solutions, it's with this taxonomy. So I was at GDC here 3 months ago, and I really thought just in the last year alone, I started to see a fairly monumental shift in the thought process and just the workloads, the solutions, and the use cases that customers were coming to us with around Gen AI. And this was also taken around the same time as well. So 77% of game developers are using or considering AI for game production. And I would say since GDC, it feels like the lid has been taken off on that. We've had some of the biggest CEOs in the industry. I was at Unreal Fest last week talking predominantly about how they're going to be incorporating Gen AI more effectively into their games and how into the player experience. So for me, it feels that we're really starting, and we've seen it since GDC as well. The number of use cases, the number of engagements, the number of POCs have gone up, and it's in all facets. If anything, it's showing to us that it's really real, and that from the highest parts of the organization to the developer level, people are serious about it and looking to see what they can do to try to expand it in the organization. Along with that, and given my tenure here at AWS, being here for about 10 years, the interesting thing, and really a number of the discussions that I had last week at Unreal, the number one comment that I'm hearing from the leaders and the executives are around, what are we doing to try to gain control? It looks very similar to what I saw with cloud sprawl, let's say a decade ago, 8 to 10 years ago. Starting to see this now where leaders within organizations are curious about how much is being used, what's being used in their enterprise, and what type of center of excellence do they have set up to try to coordinate across maybe a number of different studios or divisions they might have within their company. So in the last 2 to 3 months as well, we've seen more interest in the security aspect of Gen AI, in what type of teams, how are they working together, especially with our friends from Databricks. Where is the data? How is the data being leveraged? And some of the use cases that we're seeing that are really growing are around personal assistant. It's around coding and making it easier for folks to leverage code to try to get games a little bit more efficiently on time. It's around automation. We're also seeing a lot around marketing. We're starting to have a number of discussions around how we can add marketing or advertisements into games with playable videos or playable ads, and just the experiment level, I think, is really ratcheting it up. But the thing that's most predominant right now from the leadership meetings I've been having is, what are we doing around a center of excellence? Who's part of that center of excellence? And where would they look to us to help them build that out as well? We classify customer use cases really into 3 classes right now. So it's helping game developers create content to include in the game, where AI is 10 to 100 designers helping designers and developers at the game studio. In-game AI features that players interact with as part of play. This needs to scale to potentially support millions of concurrent personalized player experience. And then supporting game publisher activities like customer service, marketing, and community engagement. Our stack is, this is the advertisement plug of the portion here, but we have really 3 major stacks when we look at what we're doing with Gen AI right now. We have the Q for business, Q for developer portion and along with Connect, which is more for helping with automation. More of the products you might be aware of would be SageMaker, would be our own foundational models with Nova, as well as Bedrock, where you can leverage tools like Anthropic and Meta and Stability. And then we also have our own silicon, and we have our own chips that we're working on and we're developing and have been developing, which many of you are using, along with our Graviton solutions as well. Customers that have historically have looked to us for helping them scale, helping them size, helping them deliver games in a timely fashion, and also globally as well. One case with Roblox, which is interesting, we're helping them scale their generative AI platform for over 2.5 million creators and 70 million daily users. David, their CEO, has been very vocal about what they're doing and how they want to be leaders in this space around Gen AI as part of their core platform. And we're working really closely with them and building that out and making it and being part of their long-term plans when it comes to 3D modeling as well. So good partnership with Roblox, but I think the takeaway here is we're helping companies like we've helped them all along scale at really strong and deliberate sizes. So why AWS for game analytics? Look, as we heard, Dennis shared with us, making games is hard. Making great games is even harder. Analytics investments pay off in higher player satisfaction and revenue because your decision-making process will be based on fact and help prioritize the most important next steps. Your development team can only do so much in a week, and with the data to get direct to their attention more efficiently. This one area is also what we've seen the most as far as which projects are successful, which are not, especially at a corporate-wide scale, where the data is, where the data resides, how easy is it to get to the data. That is one thing that we partner with obviously Databricks on, with your customers, with our customers, and frankly, the ease to obtain data, the ease and how you're able to use it and how you're able to leverage it is really reflective in what you can do and how more powerfully you can do it from a Gen AI perspective. These are the use cases that we really tend to see the most right now. And as I mentioned, we have a really strong partnership with Databricks and around centralized game analytics, player insights, and personalized experience. Databricks, along with AWS, can help to be a foundation to help you for your Gen AI needs. Some examples, and as we saw earlier in hunting slides as well, Riot has been a really great customer of ours, of theirs, for analytics that they're doing daily into the 20 terabytes of data every day. Activision is also, and Razer have been big customers of ours. From a Better Together perspective, we are here. We have a booth. You probably have seen that. We also have a number of different sessions and events coming up over the next couple of days, along with talking about the Databricks and AWS partnership. And I think most importantly is we have programs that are active. We were talking about it earlier today. We have programs specifically for the game industry that Tim and I would love to chat with you about if you have any questions. We have a number of blogs that are out there. We have immersion days that are coming up in Los Angeles. We also have industry days. We'll be at DevCon together in Cologne. And then we also have events really all across the world, and capped off for us, reInvent at the end of the year in December. Main point that we have a lot that we're doing together. Happy to talk to you afterwards. Myself and Tim would be happy to talk to you afterwards around the partnership and what we're doing. But I thank you for the time today. I want to pass it over to Max, and you can finish this up. Thank you.
All right, home stretch. I don't know about everyone, but when I heard Dennis talking about PGA, I want to go home and play it right now. So, hi, my name is Max. I lead industry solutions for games. So that means that I want to hear from every one of you, right? I want to help solve some of your toughest gaming problems, some of your toughest data AI problems. And so at the end of this, we're going to have a QR code. If you have problems or data solutions that you're trying to build on top of Databricks, or you want to ideate on how to solve them, please reach out and we will be happy to talk to you. Every single solution that we build here is from our customers. I know Hunting said it. I'll say it again. We love to solve the problems that you all have. All right. So picture this, right? Your new patch just went live. Early Steam reviews, glowing. You're feeling really, really good, right? Well, all right. Uh-oh. Then boom, all right? 10,000 reviews overnight, mostly negative. So what went wrong? What do? Forget vague sentiments and generic keywords. You need to find exactly what went wrong, and you need to know how to fix it. Am I triggering any PTSD from anyone in this room from this? All right, so enter player feedback analysis. So this is one of the solutions we built, which was around problems we heard from customers, right? And so what we did here was we basically ingested a lot of reviews from Steam, as you can see. So what we did here was we ingested the data, we transformed the data, and we governed it using Unity Catalog. I know you all have heard us belabor Unity Catalog, but it's essential because we know with gaming data, there's a lot of PII and stuff that you don't want to share. After that, we extracted the details using LLMs, right? We love to call this boring AI, which is like just leveraging machine learning to do the things that we don't want to do. No one wants to sit here and go through reviews and figure out, hey, what are people saying? So we use the machines to do what they're good at, extracting patterns. And after that, we serve the insights to the people who need them. We give them to the decision makers so they can actually take action. So one of the things we do here is we leverage the entire platform to be able to do all of this. And so what you'll see in the demo, which I'm going to show, is how we basically go from getting and ingesting data from Steam to serving insights and analysis to our customers. So I'm going to click this, and if the presentation gods are nice to me, our video is going to play. And let's see. No. AV? All right, let's see if I can click on this here. All right, so I'm going to talk through what we do with the player feedback analysis, and we're just going to leverage this slide in here. So what we do is we basically ingest data from Steam, leveraging the Steam API, and then we use our workflows to ingest all that data into a bronze layer. So we land all that data without transforming it. And now once we land the data, we clean it up into the silver layer, doing some of the extractions. And then we actually leverage our AI query, which is our LLMs, which basically do batch inference. So like you want to be able to say, hey, summarize all this data and get the sentiment from each row for me. And what it's going to do is it's going to traverse through every single line of review, and then it's going to figure out the sentiment, whether it's positive, negative, or neutral, and then it's going to throw that in a new column. And what happens after that is we have a new column in there, and we're going to get a lot more kind of like categorization of what the review is talking about. Once that's done, we serve that in a dashboard. Believe it or not, we actually have dashboards built. If we were able to show the demo, we would have shown that. And then we basically tabulate and aggregate everything up. So once we aggregate everything, depending on who you are in the audience, we show you hey, if I was a engagement manager or community manager, when I come in, I want to look overnight what the reviews were and what the sentiments were overnight or in the last 7 days. And we actually show a graph of where the reviews are trending. So we do that, and we don't just give you a lot of that. We also allow you to be able to take action. So right, if we serve insights without allowing you to be able to take action, then we kind of are kind of lost there. So once we give you all of the data and allow you to see everything that is surfaced up, we allow you to now go take action. So you will see that inside of the dashboards, you can click in, go look through the data and see exactly who's saying what in the different sentiments. So now you can figure out exactly what people are complaining about, and depending on what you release, you can go look at it and fix it based on the reviews that you see. And so once we categorize them, you see the top trending things people are complaining about, and you can easily go fix it. So take advantage of our games content. We do have a lot of other games content here. We have a lot of different sessions. We have gaming, and we have games as well. The demos, the one that we couldn't show you today, is it's at our industry lounge, among other demos. And so if you want to check it out, and you want us to show you a live demo, visit our games industry booth in the expo hall. I would be happy and to run you through an actual demo, and not a botched demo that the presentation guys could allow me to do today. Yes, we promise it actually works. So with that being said, Hunting, over to you.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you all for joining, for staying through the session. I already got that. Now, I want you all to leave quickly and run to Moscone South to the mezzanine. Riot Games will be sharing their details on how they're approaching anti-cheat. It should be an awesome session. It starts in 20 minutes. So as much as I would love to belabor the point and thank you and say all sorts of things, please have a great day. Thank you so much.